July 2014. Varna Airport, Bulgaria. Cameras capture a young man running madly, not after a plane, but to escape from something we cannot see. He leaves behind his passport, his phone, and his entire life, and disappears into a Bulgarian forest in just 10 seconds. Even today, more than 12 years later, the question still haunts everyone. Why did Lars Mittank run? Imagine standing in the one place on Earth designed to be a gateway to home, a high-security, meticulously organized international airport. For most, an airport represents the end of an adventure, but for Lars Mittank, it was the threshold of an abyss. On a bright July morning in 2014, this 28-year-old German man did something that defies every logic of survival. He ran. He didn't just run toward a gate or a plane. He ran away from his luggage, his passport, and his very identity, scaling an 8-foot barbed wire fence to disappear into a field of towering sunflowers. The irony is as sharp as the wire he climbed. Lars had spent his life building a reputation for being the most reliable person in the room. A precision mechanic, a dedicated son, and a man of routine, he was a character defined by his stability. Yet, in the span of a single week, that stability fractured so completely that he became known to the world as the most famous missing person on YouTube. This is not just a story about a disappearance. It is a descent into a labyrinth of fear where the walls were built by a mind in revolt. Lars Joachim Mittank was born on February 9, 1986 in Berlin, though he spent the majority of his life in the quiet German towns of Itzehoe and Marne. To his friends, he was the all-around regular guy, gentle, quiet, and profoundly responsible. He didn't follow the traditional university path, instead excelling in advanced technical training to become a power plant operator. By 2007, he had secured a prestigious position at a power plant in Wilhelmshaven. His social standing was that of a solid middle-class professional, but his character was truly forged at home. When his father suffered a debilitating stroke in 2012, Lars didn't hesitate. He spent nearly every weekend making the 6-hour round trip to help his mother, Sandra, with the care of his father and the maintenance of their home. He was a man who bled football, a staunch supporter of Werder Bremen whose only real vice was the occasional passionate debate about his team. Sources describe him as health-conscious, a man who avoided drugs and rarely partied, which makes his decision to join 5 friends on a lad's holiday to Bulgaria in June 2014 seem like a rare moment of letting loose. He wasn't supposed to go. He took the place of a friend who had to cancel at the last minute. He packed his bags for Golden Sands, a resort known as the Balkan Ibiza, unaware that he was packing for a journey from which he would never return. The holiday began in the mundane sunshine of a typical European getaway, swimming, beach soccer, and watching the 2014 World Cup. However, subtle cracks began to appear early on. Friends noticed Lars had a surprisingly small appetite, picking only at soups and salads despite the 40-degree heat. The true pivot occurred on the night of July 6th. While at a bar, Lars, dressed in his Werder Bremen jersey, engaged in a verbal spat with fans of a rival team, Bayern Munich. Though the argument seemed to resolve quickly, Lars disappeared for the rest of the night. He returned the next morning with a harrowing tale. He claimed he had been attacked by 4 men hired by the rival fans. The result was a ruptured eardrum and a bruised jaw. While some investigators and friends later questioned if this fight even happened, suggesting the injury might have been accidental or the story a symptom of a developing psychosis, the physical damage was real. A local doctor warned Lars that the cabin pressure of a flight could cause permanent damage or severe pain, and he was prescribed the antibiotic cefprozil. Lars insisted his friends fly home without him on July 7th, checking into the budget hotel Color in a rougher part of Varna to wait for medical clearance. This is where the narrative momentum shifts into sheer psychological horror. Alone in a foreign city, Lars's phone calls to his mother became a series of terrified whispers. "I'm in danger," he told her. "They are after me." He asked her to cancel his credit cards, fearing they had been cloned by the hotel receptionist. Some sources claim hotel CCTV captured him hiding in elevators and pacing the halls, though the Mittank family later clarified that much of this elevator footage often seen online is actually from the unrelated Elisa Lam case, or otherwise unverified. Regardless of the footage, his internal reality was one of absolute peril. On the morning of July 8th, Lars arrived at Varna Airport. He entered the office of the airport physician, Dr. Kosta Kostov, seeking a final checkup. The consultation lasted 42 minutes. Lars appeared nervous and erratic, muttering that he didn't want to die here. The breaking point came when a third individual, described variously as a construction worker or an airport staff member, entered the room. Lars bolted. He left behind everything: his phone, his wallet, his passport, and his bags. The footage of him sprinting through the terminal is the last confirmed trace of a man whose life had been defined by following the rules. He leapt over the airport fence and vanished into the sunflowers. The repercussions were immediate and devastating for his family. Sandra Mittank has spent over a decade and thousands of euros on private investigators, social media campaigns, and searches of the Bulgarian wilderness. The case has birthed 1,000 theories. Was it antibiotic-induced psychosis from the cefprozil? Was it a traumatic brain injury from the fight? Or was the threat real, a target of human traffickers or organ harvesters? The legacy of the case is found in the sporadic, unconfirmed sightings that keep the wound open. A prostitute near Slanchivo claimed to have seen a man matching his description with a specific unreleased physical trait. A truck driver in Germany picked up a hitchhiker who looked like an aged version of Lars. These moments offer a cruel hope, a possibility that Lars is still out there, perhaps a victim of amnesia, living a life he doesn't remember. What does the story of Lars Mittank reveal about the human condition? It reminds us of the terrifying fragility of the self. Here was a man with a steady job, a loving family, and a clear future. Yet a single blow to the head or a rare reaction to a common pill was enough to unravel 28 years of identity in mere hours. Lars didn't disappear into a dark alley or a remote wilderness. He vanished in the full light of day, on camera, in one of the most surveilled environments on the planet. His story forces us to acknowledge that the greatest threats we face may not be the shadows following us down a street, but the shadows that can suddenly lengthen within our own minds. We are left with that final, haunting loop of film, a man running not towards something, but away from everything. As of 2026, the case remains officially unsolved, the sunflower field long harvested, and the forest silent. Whether he fell victim to the elements, to a real pursuer, or to the ultimate betrayal of his own brain, Lars Mittank remains a passenger who never boarded, a son who never came home, and a mystery that continues to sprint through the digital halls of our collective curiosity.